1 minute. Coming down the street at 7:59. Yes. Fayetteville. Let's see your boy. Now we are on to Fayetteville. Today is money making Tuesday. We got a nice setup here.
Job at a production plant, right?
Yeah.
I'm what you call a yard dog. We working with dead animals. You understand? Animal byproducts is what we're making. We're making like a mush that people use companies use to make
Fertilizer?
Pet food out of.
Oh.
And some people use what we make to put on their crops to fertilize their crops. So, you know, my job is to, when the truckers bring the trucks in, I have to take, they park their trailers, and then I have to take my truck and go hook my truck up to their trailers and dump what's in those trailers into the bins. Now, what's in those trailers? You might have a trailer full of dead hogs. I'm just talking about a whole 62-foot long trailer full of dead hogs. PU, stinky job, right? Then we got another trailer, 60-foot trailer full of dead chickens, all chickens, right? Then another one, all turkeys, right? And then we got tankers. What's in the tankers? Nothing but sludge. And we got trailers full of sludge. Slugs is shit. You understand what I'm doing? You know what I mean? And then we got tankers full of blood. And my job is to dispose of everything in these tankers and in these trailers. And with the blood, I gotta hook a hose up. You know what I'm saying? On this job, it's a very, very stinky job, right? But nonetheless, I have to do what I have to do to provide, you know what I'm saying, for myself and to contribute to the household that I'm living in, right? So I'm doing it. And I'm doing this for 1 year, you know what I mean? And one day I was at the job and I saw someone unloading a trailer. I think he was using a T-Rex, you know what I'm saying? And at this time I was in 1 year, I learned a whole lot. I mean, I in 1 year of me working on this job, I've learned how to drive a forklift, a Bobcat, a T-Rex, and a tractor trailer, a truck, you know what I mean? Like, I had the experience of driving trucks, but I just never left the yard. But I was going to the scale house, you know what I mean? I learned a lot from that job. I really appreciated that dirty, stinky job. It gave me a lot of experience about working with my hands, and because I was used to just working in front of computers. So anyway, right, I'm helping somebody out. I had some downtime where my work wasn't backed up, and I saw somebody struggling emptying in the trailer, right? So I goes over there and I start helping the guy, right? So I'm helping him unload what's in his trailer. He's unloading hot dogs. I'm telling you, it's like,
Hot dogs.
I don't really want to put it all in this video, but basically I'm gonna just sum it up real quick. All those things I told you that was in the trailer, they got different bins that each product goes into. So my job was to hook my truck up, back it up all the way till the end of a certain trailer, and then I have to detach my truck from the trailer, and then I have to hook a crane up, right, to the trailer, a crane, and then I have to lift the trailer up, and then I have to pop the ledge in the back of the trailer, and everything that's in the trailer falls into the bin, and then when it goes into the bin, it gets chopped up with these blades that's in the bin, and then it gets sent to a cooker where it cooks all of the meat, all of everything that I described, right? So I'm helping a guy. It's bees out here, pardon me, it's wasp. So I'm helping the guy. Y'all know I hate wasps, pardon me. He better not come over here. But I'm helping a guy unload a trailer full of hot dogs. It's little like bins that like this high, and it's full of hot dogs. Just imagine how, you gotta understand, I'm dealing with dead meat, dead animals, so it's a lot of flies involved in the summertime, a lot of maggots involved. You understand what I'm saying? It's very stinky, dirty job. But in the wintertime, it's the best time, because in the wintertime on that job, it's cold outside, and we worked outside. And when it's cold, all the meat is refrigerated. It still stinks, but there's no flies, and there's no maggots, and there's no buzzards flying around. You know, them buzzards in the sky, they looking at these trailers that I'm unloading as a buffet. You see what I'm saying? It's very nasty. Sometimes I hook my trailer up, and I'm scared to go in the back where the wires are, because the trailer's full of buzzards, and I don't know if they're gonna run or attack me. But anyway, right? Coming back to the story, I'm traumatized by that job a little bit, by the way. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm helping a guy unload his hot dogs from, I don't think this is a good spot. I might have a wasp nest around here. So I'm helping the guy unload his hot dog trailer, right? So the next day, the boss comes in, right? The general manager, right? And he sees the trailer that's not fully unloaded, and he's asking people. Apparently he's saying, who was working on this trailer right here? And I guess the people who was around him when he asked, they like, I seen Lib unloading it, right? So he gets on his radio and he says, we all got walkie-talkies, by the way. You know, I forgot to say that. We all got walkie-talkies. He gets on the radio and says, Lib, get down here and unload this trailer right now. And mind you, I'm on the top of a ramp, and he's all the way on the bottom of the ramp where the trailer is at, right? And he yelled that on the radio, and everybody around me, and I know everybody inside the plant, I know by hearing that, whoever has a radio, everybody like, stop what they doing and like listening to the radio. So I'm at the top, he's at the bottom, and this motherfucker just yelled at me, right? So I comes down there and I walks down there to him and I says, I guess I better start unloading this trailer, cause you seem pretty upset. That's what I told him, right? And he says, what is this trailer doing not unloaded yet? And if you don't want to work here, and you don't want to work here, and I cut him off. I cut him off because, first of all, I let him know this. I said, listen, I wasn't unloading the trailer. I was helping someone else unload the trailer. People saw me working, so they said it was me, but that wasn't my duty at the time. And he don't know this because I'm working overnight. When he's home sleeping, he comes in the morning, and I let him know that. I said I was just helping somebody else out with the trailer, right? And I said, you need to find a better way to talk to me. I told him that. And he says, if you don't want to work here, then you could just leave. You know, and I said, hold on. He started talking about my work ethic and, you know, and if people being lazy and stuff. I said, listen, respectfully, I said, you need to find a better way to talk to me. Mind you, he's hyper, and I'm very calm, like the way that I'm talking to you right now. You see what I'm saying? And I'm telling him, I said, listen, I don't appreciate you downgrading my work ethic. I said, you're not here at night. I'm telling the boss this. I said, you're not here at night, but any of these guys over here could vouch for me. I'm one of the hardest working people over here in this plant. I work real hard, and I work so hard that I also decided to help someone else unload the trailer. You see what I'm saying? And he's getting red, and everybody knows that he has an attitude problem, and it was said that he knows jujitsu. He's one of them real hyper guys, you know what I'm saying? That I don't know, he gets red when he gets mad, and he didn't like the way I was talking to him, because I looked him dead in his eyes when I'm talking to him, and I could see he would have gloves on, and he's talking to me, and I'm looking right in his face, and he would take his gloves off because he don't like my position. He doesn't like my aura or how I'm coming. But I don't like the way you just yelled at me like I'm a little boy and telling me to come down here, and you say right now like you know what I'm saying, like you somebody's father or something, right? So I come down and I'm talking to him like this, and he takes his gloves off, right? And every time he take his glove off, I position myself like this. You know what I'm saying? And then he's still talking, and he was like, well, and I was like, listen, I don't mind unloading the trailer, but, you know, I'm trying to tell him, you should find a better way to talk when you're talking to me. You know what I mean? At this time, I'm like 40 something years old. Like, I'm a grown man. Like, who you think you're talking to? You know what I'm saying? And he would put his glove back on. When he put his glove back on, I'm right here again. And he did it one more time, took his glove off when he got mad, because he's yelling at me while we're talking, and I'm trying to get him to calm down and find a better way to talk to me. But I'm not yelling back at him, and I'm not being disrespectful or nothing. I'm just talking to you. I'm being assertive, and I'm looking you dead in your eyes and your soul. And he take his glove off again, and I step like this again. And when he put his glove back on, I noticed, like, while we're talking, why you keep taking your glove on and off? And I'm ready to lose my job today. I'm telling myself, I'm going to knock this guy out.
I'm ready to go at it.
I'm about to knock him out.
Anyway.
Especially if he gets so angry at me and he tries to physically do something to me, I'm going to lose my job today. That's where my mindset is at, right? So it got to the point where he got tired of talking to me, and he was like, well, just do it right now then. And I said, okay. And he's like, well, why are you still standing here? I said, because you keep talking to me. You talking to me, that's why I'm still standing here. When you stop talking to me, I'm gonna go and unload the trailer. And then I went and unload the trailer, and he was pissed. You know what I'm saying? I could feel it. His whole body's turning red, and I know he was pissed, but I didn't give him enough ammunition to say, what? You're fired. Get out of here right now. Get your things and go home. I didn't give him that kind of energy. You see, I just stayed poised, and the only thing he could say is, well, do it now. And I did it, you know? But after that, right, I believe that he told the two managers, I believe that he told them, as soon as he do something, you let me know. You know what I mean? And everybody on the job were praising me. They say that I stood up, and they say that I defended myself, and they were all praising me. And I was like, nah, don't do that, because I didn't want the attention. You feel what I'm saying? And then one day I got real tired, and I didn't get any sleep, but I came to work anyway. And I didn't get any sleep, so I parked my truck, and I ain't gonna lie, I fell asleep. You know what I mean? And the two managers were looking for me. They came and found me, and they found me sleeping. But before they woke me up, they took my picture, sent it to him. You know what I mean? So the first thing he sees when he wakes up in his email is a picture of me in the truck with my mouth open. And he fired me that day, you see? But everything got better after he fired me. I was working 21 days in a row on that job with only 2 days off a month. Like, the only thing that was missing was the ball and the chain. But I liked the job. It was the highest paying job around, but my camera got too hot and my camera died. I'm gonna try to make a long story short, but to make a long story short, I asked him, I said, can you please give me another chance? I'm sorry. I was tired as hell, man. I ain't gonna lie. I went and parked that truck and I went to sleep. But what was grimy is how they took my picture. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't give me another chance. And I think he took those two managers took my picture because all the workers were like praising me like I was some type of hero, that I stood up to this guy, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't want that kind of attention. But see, these two managers, they couldn't stand up to him. He would yell and scream at them every day, and they had to take it, you know, because they had high-paying salaries in that area.
And he got fired. Bye.
She done spent years on television telling America that privilege is a moral crime, whether it be white privilege, tall privilege, pretty privilege. Then her own son stepped out of a gate, and suddenly the language changes. I want you to watch how fast the rules flip when it's our own blood that's on the line.
I do think that there is a thing called pretty privilege. There is a thing called white privilege. There is a thing called tall privilege. And we have to acknowledge that. I do think that...
Oh, okay. Now, you're going to learn that this is the cleanest version of the contradiction, right? On the left side of the screen, you hear her diagnosing privilege like it's a disease. And on the right, what you're going to hear later is she's listing credentials like they're a hall pass. Former federal prosecutor, Harvard graduate, no criminal record. The same tools, rather, she calls illegitimate when other people use them, become non-negotiable the second her son needs them. That's not a small slip. I'm just saying. That's the entire worldview revealing its real operating system. You know, the short clip only gives you the headline, but the full body cam shows you the temperature in the room.
Normally, it's a misdemeanor charge. We're dumbing it down to a violation, okay? I know you're upset. We just do it as a deterrence because, again, like I explained to you on the phone, besides being illegal, which is far from the subject, it's dangerous.
My mom's a lawyer, by the way.
That's okay. What's your name?
Yeah. What's your name, sir?
I'm Brian.
Brian, is that your badge number, 2814?
Yes. So the reason we're stopping you, this is trespassing right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was open over there. I was just walking on a run here.
Where are you coming from? All the way over there?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I saw it just looked open for me, so I just walked in.
So this is considered trespassing. It's criminal trespass. The reason why it's such a big deal, people get hit by a train all the time. We want to prevent it, obviously.
Father, can you please...
You want me to hold it for you?
Yeah, the phone's at 2%, FYI. Here you go.
So this is considered trespassing. It's a big deal. We don't want people to get hit by a train, which is why we can run it over, okay? Do you have any ID on you?
Yes.
Okay, where is it?
It's in my phone, if you take off the case.
Tell them your mother is a federal prosecutor.
Yes.
No, she is
Hey,
not.
Mom, how are you? This is Officer Gomez. Your son's fine. How are you?
This is
Yes.
federal prosecutor.
Okay, fair enough.
My son.
Yeah.
He's a Harvard graduate.
Yeah.
He's not a criminal. He has no criminal record, no criminal history.
Yes. No, I understand that. The issue is, like I told your son, is this is considered criminal trespassing. So besides being illegal, it's actually very dangerous for him to be around the railroad tracks. You know, we get people that get hit all the time.
Okay, let's get my mom on the phone.
Of course, yeah.
Hey, Mom. Hey, so you said that. Can I grab my phone?
Absolutely, go ahead.
And if the phone dies, can we call her?
Absolutely.
So yeah, just tell her.
Miss Austin, it's Officer Gomez.
Hi, Officer Gomez. I'm about 4 minutes away.
Okay, that's fine. So I just wanted to give you the heads up. So I am going to be writing your son what's called an appearance ticket. I'm sure you know what that is. I'll explain everything, where he has to report, all that stuff, because it is criminal trespass where he was. It's normally hold on for 1 second, miss. It's normally a misdemeanor. Obviously, we're cutting it down to the violation because he's there's nothing on his record. He's been very cooperative with us. But as of right now, we will have to issue him the appearance ticket.
Officer, is that really necessary? This is a kid that doesn't do anything. He's a Harvard graduate and a Yale researcher. He teaches geometry to f***ers.
I understand that.
Why would you put something on his record like this?
No, it's not anything criminal. He just has to appear. I'm dumbing it down to a violation. That's all it is. So it's not a misdemeanor. It's just going back down. I'm writing him literally for the 140.05. It's a trespass violation. He would have to appear, which is an inconvenience. I understand that, but with all due respect, ma'am, I still have a job to do, and we have to deter people from being on the tracks. Because again, besides,
I understand, but what I'm asking of you
It's
is
privilege.
once a prosecutor, once a
Privilege.
judge gets this, all
Privilege.
he would have to do is pay a fine anyway. There is a path.
What happens if we didn't?
wait a minute.
What happens if you're like, oh, maybe write this?
Well,
Privilege.
you know, we have cameras everywhere. You know, if we didn't see you, somebody would have called it over.
Correct.
You know, and
There was too many trains coming in and out of there to not.
I hate to say,
not see you.
it's like my partner said, our hands are tied. It is what it is. Listen, I really appreciate you being cool about
Yeah.
this. You know, put your handcuffs, and we do that for our safety
That's
and all that
safety
stuff.
reason on the
Hi, miss, how are you?
That's
I'm Officer Gomez. No, no problem. I apologize for this, but you know, it's
where you were on the
so
track.
like I explained to you. Normally, it's a misdemeanor charge. We're dumbing it down to a violation. Okay, I know you're upset. We just do it as a deterrence because, again, like I explained to you on the phone, besides being illegal, which is far from the subject, it's dangerous. I mean, so that's pretty much it.
Can you give him a warning?
Nope.
I cannot at this point. I have to recommend this.
Can we talk about how
And like I said, it's usually a misdemeanor. We're dumbing it down to a violation. So he's literally getting hit with the 140.05. It's not going to go on his record. Not going to affect him. Nothing. It's not going to. If he asks a bunch of questions like if it's going to hit his license, absolutely not. Yeah. No, it's not going to affect him. Yeah.
we can't be
No, I understand.
every single day and
I
every single
understand. I really do.
accident along the route.
It's a grown ass man. Come on.
How are you?
How are you? This is my son.
How you doing?
He was walking along the tracks.
Just on a run, on a walk, and the gate was open. I was like,
Yeah, Marie.
yeah.
Sounds like an honest
He's on the
mistake.
phone with me. Actually.
Yeah.
I'm a former federal prosecutor.
Yeah.
He knows. He's a Harvard grad.
Yeah, he
He
should've
teaches
known
fourth
better.
grade geometry to his kids.
God bless.
He's not a kid who's ever in trouble. It's an innocent mistake. I understand you have to.
Yeah, it's
Did
not
the
enough. I don't know what
violation,
happened, but
but
yeah,
it's
it's not the end of the world. I get you.
Okay. So this is going to be your copy. Okay. So basically, just have to show up. It's on a Friday, July 10th at 9:30 a.m. It's going to be to the New Rochelle Criminal Court. It's going to be at 475 North Ave here in New Rochelle. Not the end of the world. Not the crime of the century. Okay. It's
Hopefully.
unfortunate. I get it. I know you're upset. Your mom's upset. I'm not trying to be a ball buster here.
It's a grown
I have
ass
it back,
man.
and that's all it is. Okay. I hope you don't take it personally. I really appreciate you being cooperative with.
My fault. I ended up chiming in a little too quickly. Hopefully you were listening to the tone. She's not asking. She's
She
establishing
must have said
hierarchy
6
in real
times. She's a
time.
federal
I'm a former federal
criminal
prosecutor.
justice.
He's a Harvard graduate who teaches fourth grade geometry. Every sentence is designed to raise the cost of writing a ticket, not raise the cost of the ticket, raise the cost of writing the ticket. The officer stayed professional. You know, she keeps stacking status. This is what it looks like when the people who preach against power suddenly remember how to use it. In the audience, they usually cheers. The lecture goes quiet the moment the lecture doesn't apply. But y'all sit back. We got another lengthy one. This one isn't just one mother protecting her child. This is the fruit of a much larger tree. The tree is what they're planting in classrooms.
The culture shift comes from what children learn at school and online. Ask any young person what history they learned at school, and they'll tell you Hitler. Ask them what else? Slavery. Ask them what else? American civil rights. In fact, what little they know of history will be all about black and brown people fighting for equality against the white man. Women fighting men for the vote. Gay and trans people fighting for various rights. Our young people have been taught that history is simply one long story about various groups struggling under the oppressive dead white man. Out with Dickens, Shakespeare, Kipling, and Wordsworth. We must decolonize. History is taught through an oppressor lens. The triangular slave trade, white men held the power. What about Britain ending the slave trade? More than a quick mention, if at all? No. What of the Arab slave trade that lasted 3 times as long as the triangular slave trade? No. Okay, so GCSE history in Britain is often taught as migration through time. So the idea that Britain has always been a land of immigrants is embedded in our children's heads. Most schools would prefer to concentrate learning about the tiny number of black people who existed in Tudor England over a thorough analysis of England's break from Rome. Medieval history becomes her story and is told through the eyes of Eleanor of Aquitaine, because after all, she was a woman. Not to mention weeks on King Mansa Musa of Mali, because he was a black Muslim. His bearing on British institutions, laws, and faith is non-existent. And the fact that he is said to have been the richest man in history, thanks in part to his massive slave-owning society, is a detail somehow that teachers rarely ever teach. But it isn't just our schools. It's our general culture, too. Take your kids to a museum or an art gallery in any Western country, and you'll find the same narrative. As an example, when learning about aviation in London's Science Museum and the extraordinary feat that is man making massive machines move in the sky, a write-up on the wall explains that women and black people were historically barred from aviation schools and the military. Similarly, James Watt, the man who invented the steam engine and is considered the founder of the Industrial Revolution, has a write-up on the wall explaining that his early career involved slave trafficking with a bonus analysis of the whole of Britain's complicity in the slave trade. They flatten the entire human story and all of its complexities into the narrative of oppressor and oppressed, leaving young people unable to see the world in any other terms.
There's one other thing that I want to show you from this woman because she's very on point, and this video just builds on that last video. It goes right side by side, and it's about the mass indoctrination around slavery and what really happened with slavery. This is important, and you should definitely listen to this.
Is that slavery was not about race. That's important. It was not about race. The only reason we think it's about race is because philosophers like David Hume in the 18th century ranked human beings and put Africans at the bottom, saying that they had no souls. The Enlightenment imposed the concept of race on a practice that had been going on for centuries in order to justify that practice. And why did they have to justify it? And this is the point. Because people in the West began to question slavery's moral validity. The fact is that people of all colors owned slaves, both as part of the Atlantic slave trade and outside of it. In the United States and Caribbean, black people owned thousands of black slaves, and so did the Native Americans. Nearly 20,000 of the Native American 5 civilized tribes sided with the Confederacy during the Civil War, fighting to keep slavery alive. 28% of the black population who were free in New Orleans pledged their support to the Confederacy. All of the 13 southern states of the Confederacy had substantial numbers of black slave owners. There were more than 250,000 free blacks, and nearly 4,000 of them were slave masters who owned more than 20,000 slaves. The practice of slavery was legal, after all. We need to remember that governments did not own slaves. Slave owners did. In fact, the U.S. government fought a war to end slavery. How much should the descendants of the 400,000 Union soldiers who lost their lives fighting to free the slaves pay to the descendants of the slaves they freed? It's bizarre to suggest that human beings should inherit the outrage of the deeds of their parents. Should the child of a mass murderer be sent to prison because of his father's crime? No. In America, in the main, it was the Democrats who owned slaves, and the Democrats who in the main passed and enforced Jim Crow laws. It was also the Democrats who founded the Ku Klux Klan. Should the current Democratic Party be held responsible for this? No. We do not inherit the sins of our fathers.
Now, she just described the curriculum most Western kids are sitting under. History reduced to one long story of powerful crushing the powerless. White man as the permanent villain, every other group as the permanent victim in the situations. Britain in the slave trade gets a footnote. The Arab slave trade, the Arab slave trade that lasted centuries longer gets silenced. Mansa Musa's wealth is celebrated. The fact that his empire ran on slaves is treated like an inconvenient detail. When you teach children that the world is only oppressor and oppressed, you don't produce critical thinkers. You produce people who see every unequal outcome as proof of the story they were given. And once that story is installed, reality becomes optional. So what happens when this story collides with actual numbers in the same school district, same funding, and same resources?
Since I've been getting a lot of flack for my school funding take on black versus white schools, I'll give you a personal anecdotal example because you guys can understand those. I went to Floyd Central High School. That is in the same school district as New Albany High School. Floyd Central and New Albany got the exact same funding. If we got a football field, they got a football field. If we got a new studio, they got a new studio. If they hired a new teacher, we hired a new teacher. We were in the exact same school district and we were about 15 miles away from each other. Now, the only actual difference between our two schools was our white versus black composition. Floyd Central was about 95% white and New Albany was majority black. Now, I want you to take a guess which school people actually wanted to go to, which school had higher test scores, which school teachers actually wanted to work at, because they could actually do their job without getting attacked. It was my school, Floyd Central, the majority white school. The only thing, and I mean literally the only thing that New Albany was better at than us, and I'm being so serious, we beat them in every sport. We beat them in every test score metric. We beat them in everything. The only thing that they were better than us at was basketball. And I think that says more than I could ever say. And yes, New Albany was economically disadvantaged, but the white kids at New Albany still got better test scores than their black counterpart while having the exact same socioeconomic disadvantages. But I think it's because my school, Floyd Central, got a better school lunch. We did have an absolute banger school lunch. And also, we beat New Albany in football like a decade in a row. And we were a team almost made up of exclusively of white kids because we had more organization and discipline. Now, I was JV my junior year, so don't take my opinions on football that seriously.
Let's verify these claims here. These two schools, we have Floyd Central and New Albany. They are only about 10 to 15 miles apart, and everything that he's saying here is basically true. Floyd Central is about 91% white. New Albany is very close to 40% black. It's a close approximation because they have a high black student rate and they have a high Mexican rate. So it is very close to being majority minority. So if we look at the socioeconomics, this is pretty much accurate. The New Albany school was economically disadvantaged. If we look at the academic performance, the one that was majority white, again, is accurate. They perform better on all of their testing. If we look at the sports claim, the white students did better at football, the black students did better at basketball, and the school lunch banger thing is subjective. And what they're also saying here is that the white students at that black school performed better, and that's also true. So it looks like when you have AI go over all the claims that he's talking about, it's all true. The core claims are true. They hold up the facts, same districts, similar funding, very different demographics and outcomes. The white students perform better academically and in most sports.
Floyd Central, 91% white. New Albany, significantly more black and minority students. Same district, comparable money. One school outperforms the other in almost every academic metric and in most sports. The gap doesn't disappear when the dollars are equal. That fact alone should force the harder conversation about family structure, culture, behavior, and expectations. Instead, the default response is still more money and more blame. The data obviously doesn't care about the narrative. The narrative just keeps pretending the data isn't speaking. And this is where it lands in culture, not in a think tank on somebody's phone.
I've got a question for Americans, and please don't attack me because this is genuinely just a question, yeah?
All right, white fella here, go ahead. What's your question?
Why is it, and this is specifically for white Americans, right?
Right here, go ahead. Ask your question.
Why is it that every time that white Americans say black, they say black like that?
They say black like what? Is this a thing? So how do they say it?
For example, if I hear anyone else saying black, any other American saying black, they're like, oh, black, like black. You know what I mean? Like black, normal, innit? But like with white Americans, there's so much emphasis in the L. Black.
Let me ask you a question. Reverse Uno right here. Why do you speak like the people you claim invaded your national country? Because I could tell by your head shape what country you came from. Why do you speak like them instead of your native tongue of... That's a better question. Skedaddle.
So watch the energy. A young black woman delivering the exact lecture the system spent years preparing her to give. Questions for white Americans. The cadence, the certainty. Then cut to a black man watching it with pure confusion on his face. Now, that reaction is more honest than 100 panel discussions. Because at some point, the performance becomes so automatic that even the people it's supposed to benefit start looking at it sideways. The script is still running. The audience is starting to notice the seams. Now, here's what none of these clips can hide. When a worldview only works in one direction, it eventually collapses under its own weight. You cannot spend years telling people that status, credentials, and proximity to power are illegitimate and then reach for all three the second your own family is on the line. You cannot teach children that unequal outcomes are automatic proof of oppression, and then act surprised when schools with the same resources still produce different results. You cannot train an entire generation to speak in a language of permanent grievance and then expect them not to use it on every available or in every available stage. The real cost isn't hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is just the symptom. The real cost is that we've made it harder for people to tell the truth about their own communities without being called a traitor to the narrative, for lack of better terms. Then once the truth becomes optional, every solution becomes theater. I'm not interested in theater personally. I'm interested in what still works when the cameras are off and, the hashtag stop trending. Strong families, high expectations, honest numbers. The courage to say the story we were sold is incomplete. If that makes people uncomfortable, good. Discomfort is usually the first sign the whole story is losing its grip. So